What is up, guys? Today we're going to talk about HDR. We're going to talk about what it really is on both ends. We're going to talk about the display end, like the content players like YouTube, Netflix. We're going to talk about TVs, and then we're going to talk about my end, the filmmaking end, about high dynamic range, HDR footage, HDR display, all that stuff. It's so obscure how it actually works, and I figured I'd make a video about it. I have an Atomos Ninja Inferno video coming out. I know I gotta make that. That's an HDR thing, so I thought I'd mention it. So let's make sure this video is for you. We're gonna talk about shooting for HDR. We're gonna talk about what it is in that sense, what it is in the display sense. We're gonna talk about uploading for HDR onto YouTube, you know, the file codecs that you've got to use, that kind of thing. So first, let's talk about what HDR actually is. It stands for high dynamic range, and that is the range between absolute white and absolute black. Better cameras like a red Epic W or a red weapon or something like that, that's gonna have 16 stops of dynamic range. That's a lot of dynamic range. The camera I'm shooting on right now, the GH5, here's some footage of it, that has about 12 stops of dynamic range. It's a big difference each stop up that you go in dynamic range. You can really tell the difference as you move up. So that's what dynamic range is. It lets you see more blacks and whites in the same image without exposing just for the dark areas or exposing just for the bright areas. So that's what dynamic range really is in a footage sense. Now in a display sense, I don't think it's really high dynamic range necessarily. It's just having better, more accurate contrast and more more accurate color contrast and more accurate color science. Really, just, you know, more advanced color science is really what it is. And so here's kind of an example of the difference between it. See, I uploaded these YouTube videos, these GH5 tests, in H.264, which is not an HDR codec, I guess, and so it looks flat. It doesn't really look lifelike, whereas you watch the PRORES version of these files, it looks a lot more vibrant, contrasty, lifelike. You feel something from the image, and that is the point of the HDR technology that's going in. It's just a more accurate display, really, again, and that's what we're getting at. And so that's the key there. So how do you do this HDR footage? How does it actually work? You need to have a camera that shoots a log image, a flat image. You need a camera that shoots at least 10 stops of dynamic range. That's A7S, 5D, you know, GH5, RED cameras, RE cameras, Blackmagic cameras, all that kind of stuff. Those are high dynamic range cameras. You also need to be uploading in a file like PRORES or DNXHD. Those are the two main ones that I would recommend. PRORES, DNXHD, those are HDR codecs that are supported by YouTube. So you'll do those three things, and that'll be the key to making HDR videos and making it look a lot better when you upload to YouTube, as you can see in the footage comparisons. So anyway, this was just a quick video. I wanted to just quickly go over what HDR is, how it all works, and I hope I helped you guys out if you were confused, because I was confused for the longest time. I'm like, I'm shooting HDR footage, and now they're talking about this whole HDR thing. So I don't know, that I was confused all along. That's what it is. That's what it really is, and that's what they're getting at. I hope I helped you guys out, and I'll see you all later. You all have a great day.